this is going to work. Let's hope. Okay, there we go. Okay, so a few things. I just came back from Poland. I just had an amazing trip there for 7 days. And my life has... What? I'm sorry?
My daughter's in Israel at the airport going
to Poland.
Yeah.
So changes your life, completely changes your life. I'm not going to tell you exactly what happened. It's all documented. I documented all of it. You can go on my website and you can watch all of it, DevorahSpeaks.com. And it was incredible. We went to Auschwitz and Birkenau, and we were in Krakow, and I actually met a group there in a shul on Friday night, and one of the directors recognized me, and he asked me to speak to his group, to a bunch of college students from Texas, and we ended up eating in the same place. And where were we eating? We were eating in Sarshonier's Beis Yaakov in Krakow. And I was standing there and speaking to 100 college students, secular students in Sarshonier's Beis Yaakov in Krakow.
What seminaries? Seminary? Because my daughter's there.
No, there were no seminaries there then.
Because my daughter's there also.
And it's an incredible life-changing experience. I think that every Jew needs to get there at some point in their life. I feel clearer, I feel on a high, and it's just, it gives you perspective and inspiration, and you feel like Am Yisrael Chai, and you feel like you're part of something so much bigger than yourself, and it kind of takes you out of like the little, the littleness, the smallness of life, and all of a sudden it puts everything into perspective, and you're like, wow, like what a nation, what a people, the stories that you hear, the things that you see, it's just, they try to crush us, they try to crush us, b'chol dor v'dor, d'melenu l'chol seinu, and it's just, they can't get rid of us. So it's an amazing experience. And at the end, I had this like wacky thing happen to us. We were sitting at a restaurant. Then last night before we actually were leaving, we were in Warsaw, and we're sitting in a restaurant, the whole group. And this man walks in. This Israeli guy walks in. And I'm like, we're eating, he's like there ordering to go. And he basically walks up to my table. He looks at me and he's like, you have to go to Uman. And I was like, thank you, I know, I would love to go to Uman. And he was like, you have to go to Uman. And I never saw him in my entire life, never met him. And after like 10 minutes of him like badgering me, I like started to take this whole seriously, like this whole Uman thing like to heart, He was just like, you have to go no matter how much it costs you have to go. Do you want to be Matzliach? Do you want Yeshuos? Do you want salvations? You have to go. And I'm sitting at a table full of women, and he's just like, and I wasn't particularly pretty that day, so it was like at the end of like a 6-day Poland trip, no sleeping. I'm just like bags under my eyes and like just like, and so there was no like ulterior motives there, and he was really very into it, and I just like kind of like said okay. When I walked out, I was like, okay, Hashem, if you make it happen, then like I'll do it. Like I have no issue with going to Uman; it's not a problem, and 5 hours later, I was on a plane to Uman, and with a new ticket and a driver waiting for me, and my mother babysitting another day and a half, and landed in Uman like totally unexpected with my incredible cousin who came with me, and it was a trip of a lifetime. So I just wanted to share some of it and just tell you that you have to make it there, especially if you have some kind of Polish genes. Wow, it's an amazing experience. Okay, so tonight, what we're doing tonight, we're starting something that I didn't plan for this class to be this way. I planned it to be something else, and then as I was preparing, it looked like it was going in that direction. So tonight's class is basically going to be about the Chodesh that we're in right now, that we've just welcomed in Nisan. Welcome to Nisan. We just left Adar by Adar. It was an amazing month of Adar, and now we just walked into Nisan. Nisan is a very, very powerful month. Nisan is a month all about hischachos, all about newness. Nisan is the first month of the year, the month where they came out of Mitzrayim, where they came out. All of the story of Exodus and everything that happened in Mitzrayim is all one big parable for our lives today, right? And we know that there's nothing that, and I say this in every single one of my month's classes, that we never ever celebrate something that was. We don't celebrate what was. We celebrate something that is. It's happening right now. It's in the moment. We are walking through time. It's not like time happens alongside us. We walk through time, and the energy that Hashem sends into different times of the year has a lot to do with how our life unfolds and where we take our life and where we see our life going. All of it has very much to do with the time that we're in, right? The energy of the time that we're in. If you learn about energy, you'll understand that it's all energy. Everything is energy, and if you tap into the energy that you're in, into the pocket of time that we're in right now, if you're able to tap into it, things can really, really shift for you, right? So I've been teaching this for many, many years, and only recently was I really put my money where my mouth is, and I started applying myself to the energy of the month, which meant that it wasn't like an esoteric philosophical thought anymore. It was a really, it's a reality that we're in right now. So what is the energy? Like I would learn like this. So I would learn the energy of the month and then program myself the whole month to be in that vibe. And what happens to me when I do that is that, and it's very easy to drop out of that because it requires 24/7 like thought on, right? Which is doable, very, very doable. And we just don't give ourselves enough credit. We don't realize how smart and powerful we are. But if we were to, right, and we can, then if you program yourself, your everyday, your moment to moment, at work, at home, in your relationships, whatever it is that you're doing, to be in alignment with the energy that's going on in the world right now, then all of a sudden you see almost in this like this crazy momentum that's going on, you're going to be swept away in this energy of the month, right? And it's going to be mashpia on everything in your life, things that you never thought you can accomplish or do or think, all of a sudden you're being exposed to and you're experiencing. So the energy of this month, okay, so first of all, chodesh is always from the lashon of chadash. There's a chachas, there's a newness to the time anytime you walk into a time of newness, okay, then you're able to achieve much more because anytime you start a new project, right? What happens when you start a new project? You experience this momentum, right? This euphoric experience of like, okay, I'm in, I'm game, I'm excited, right? Whatever it is that you do at first, it's almost like when you go swimming and you kick off the pool wall, right? What do you have? You have this like momentum, and you're like your strokes are deep and great. And then what happens when you're halfway through the pool? All of a sudden you have to like create your own energy. It has to come from within you, and it's much, much harder, right? That's Eschachos, that's the Chodesh, that's the beginning of the month. The beginning of the month is always, Hashem sends us almost like this like boost, right? Of this like, if you want me, come and get me, okay? But you gotta want me, right? There's the song, Come With Me Little Neshama. You know the song by Journeys? Come with me, little neshama, right? And basically it's a song of the neshama being up in heaven, and Hashem saying to the neshama, okay, come, you have to go into this world. And the neshama says, no, the malach says to him, come, you have to come with me into this world. And the malach says to the neshama, come. And the neshama says, no, but dear malach, oh no, I don't want to go. There's so much pain and evil upon the earth below. Let me stay right where I am. It's so much safe, and I'll be pure. Please don't let me go away. Can't you see? I'm so afraid. And the Malach argues with him, and he says, no, come. Right? And there's like this whole argument back and forth. This is based in the Zohar. There's an argument back and forth that the neshama is being brought into the world because the baby is supposed to be born, and the neshama has to be sent into the world to do a tikkun, and the neshama doesn't want to because the neshama knows how crazy this world, and it's olam de shikra, and it's all upside down. The second we come into this world, we forget what it's about anyways. We lose sight of what's really happening here. We forget about our maker. We forget about the reality, the existence, the whole thing. We get very, very locked into our smallness of what's happening in my life right now, and we get locked in, oh, I didn't get an invitation, oh, she didn't this, oh, they spoke lashon hara about me, and we get very, very bogged down by the details, right? And we don't see the whole story from a bird's eye view. But what does the neshama say to him? I will go if you promise me. Because then Malach shows the neshama all the people that are learning, all the people that have it right, and all the people that are plugged into truth, and all the people that are plugged into reality, and all the people that are drinking in from the fountain of youth. Let's just call it, right. All the people that are drinking from the Kool-Aid, that are just like already know what's up. They already know what's going on here. They already know that this world is a spiritual reality, and that there's no everything else is a facade. It's all a facade. Everything is just a show. Everything is just a setup. It's really, we are just a bunch of souls having a a physical experience in this world. We're just walking in these mechanical bodies, but we're souls, right? We're souls. So especially being Jews, right? We have this whole other, and on top of being a human, and on top of having this, with the levels of life that we learn when we're little, the levels of life that there's what's the this domem tomei chai medaber Yisrael, right? So what's the levels? The levels, it goes from levels of life, levels of being able to become more sophisticated, and the more sophisticated something is, the more godly it is, right? The more sophisticated something is. So a plant is more sophisticated than a rock, right? And then an animal is more sophisticated than a plant because it's more sophisticated, so it's more godly. Okay, it has more neshama in it, has more nefesh in it, has more godly and energy, force in it. That's what makes it much more sophisticated. And then more than that is a human, and then more than that is a Jew, right? Because we have a higher level soul, because we were given a higher level tafkid here, which is not necessarily, my cousin, we were going to Poland together, and she was like the most inspirational person to be with on this trip. But she was asking me a lot of questions, and some of the questions were, why is it okay for us to consider ourselves like elitists as Jews? And I explained to her that that's not at all what the situation is. If you have a fork and a knife, if you are to say now, what's more important? Is the fork more important, or is the knife more important? Is the spoon more important? Each one of them has a certain tafkid that they have to do. I cannot eat soup with a fork. I could, but I'm going to have a very hard time, right? I need that spoon for that soup, and I need that fork for that meat, because each one carries a different purpose. The Jewish people have a purpose, and it's very unique and it's very specific to them. It's not that we are better, or that we have, our purpose happens to be a light unto the nations. Our purpose happens to be a spiritual guide. The moral compass of the world. That's our purpose. It happens to be an amazing purpose, but it's also a heavy duty one that somehow we've been failing and getting up over the course of history. Right? And when you go to Poland, you see it straight up. It's like so clear, like the psukim in the Torah, how the psukim say, like when you're on top, Esav will be on bottom, and when you're going to be on bottom, Esav will be on top, and you just see it. You see it when the Jews break away from who they are, from their purpose, from their energy, from what they're supposed to be delivering to the world, the responsibility that they have towards the world and towards the nations of the world, and the light they're supposed to be shining here. When they break away from that and they get very, very stuck in their smallness and breaking away from the mitzvahs and the Torah, then assimilation rises. And what happens when assimilation rises? Anti-Semitism rises. And it's just the same thing that's been happening over the course of history in just different ways. Right? That's why it says, B'chol dor v'dor omdim aleinu l'chaoseinu. That's why it's like that. Why? Because that's the equation. The formula is, when you're plugged into truth, when you're plugged into your strength, when you're plugged into your reality, no one can touch you. You are the guiding light here. You are the shining light here. You're going to make this world into a much healthier and better and safer place. People, the Goyim and the Jews all together will be inspired, will be united. The world will be an amazing place. But when you are breaking down, and when you are falling apart, and when you don't find the passion, and when you don't find the life, and when you don't find the energy in who you are and what you are and the strength that you are and the powerhouse that you are and what you're doing and the mitzvahs that you're doing and how you're affecting the world with such small actions that you're doing, you're creating a ripple effect. When you don't realize your greatness and your power, what happens is that we start losing ourselves, and when we start losing ourselves, the other side starts to gain its power. And that's always the way it is. When you look at the world today, there is no Trump, and there is no politics, and there is no Arabs, and there is no situation in Israel. There is nothing happening. The only thing that's happening is good versus evil. The only thing that's happening is that the Jews are forgetting who they are. That's why it's so important to come to these classes. It's so important to stay inspired and bring the inspiration into your home and into your children, into your children's hearts, that we are proud to be Jews, and we have to have Jewish pride, and Jewish pride means to stay connected and be that light onto the world, onto the people. It means to know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and be inspired by the mitzvahs, and not let it get to mitzvahs anashim elumadav. Yeah, just another Shabbos. Yeah, just another Yom Tov. Yeah, I'm just cleaning for Pesach. Yeah, I'm just wearing my shirt, my tichel, my skirt, No, to constantly infuse it. You put on your skirt in the morning and you say, thank you Hashem for allowing me to have the schus of wearing a skirt. If you don't make your mitzvahs alive, then no one will. Right? That's the equation, but that's like a tangent. Let's go back to what we were saying before. What we were saying before is like this. The idea the neshama song, and what he was saying to the malach was oh, I see the people that have drank from the Kool-Aid. I see those people that drink from the I want to be one of those people that drink from the Kool-Aid. And the malach says to him, and this is the best part of the song, and this is the part that like is the clincher. And he says to him, promise me, dear friend, that I too will be like them. And he answers him, he says, come with me, little neshamala. No, come with me, little neshamala. Basically what he says to him is, it's up to you. That's up to you. How inspired, how alive, how connected, how truthful, how spiritual, how real your life will be. It's up to you. That's the only thing that you have control over. There is nothing else we have control over. Not our shidduchim, not our parnasa, not how many children we're going to have, not how they're going to turn out, not our health, not our shalom. There's nothing we have control over, besides for one thing. And that is how alive you're going to constantly be in your life. How you're going to recreate your life over and over again, every single moment when you wake up. Is it going to be Groundhog Day? Or is it going to be, I'm alive today and I've never had today before? I never lived today. I want to live today. Because so many people are fighting for life. So many people are fighting for life. You know, I have so many people I know that are like, sadly, have cancer and that are fighting it all the time. They're fighting it with doctors and medicines and alternative medicines and just to live. So we're alive. Baruch Hashem, we're alive. We have to make ourselves feel alive, because if you don't recreate your life every day, nobody will. And then what happens to life? It turns stale. And then what happens to life? And then our mind is hijacked. Our mind is hijacked by the world that tells us you want to be happy, because we all have this intense need to be happy. You want to be happy, then that's how happiness looks like. And we're all in this crazy rat race for like, be happy, be skinny, have a lot of money, live in a big house, buy another shaitel. Because we're all like brainwashed and our brains have been hijacked. So it's time to take our power back, and it's time to get really just inspired by life. By the way life is exactly how it is now. And to constantly be in gratitude mode of just the way it is right now is perfect. It can't get any better than it is right now. Because if I'm in a place of future, of if onlys, if only I had that, and if only that worked out, and if only I can get there, and if only I can have that money, or why did that happen to me, and how did I get married to that guy, and how did I make that mistake, and how did that... If I'm either in the past or in the future, I am never going to be present, I am never going to be happy. If I'm never going to be happy, I am not connected to God. And if I'm not connected to God, I am a walking corpse, because He's the source of all life. So for sure, I'm not going to be excited in my avodas Hashem, and for sure, I'm not going to be excited in my day-to-day ever. I can put on my wig, and I can put on my skirt, and I can keep my Shabbos, but I'm down in the dumps. Because I look everywhere around me and I see that everyone has it better than I do. The avoda, the only thing you were sent into this world to do, the only job that you have. And let's stop being so confused and stop being so frazzled and stop being so fragmented by what we think we need and what we think we have to have and what we think we have to get. Because the only thing that we were given, the only mission we were given in this world is to keep my heart beating for God. That's it. Rahman Ali Babai. Hashem wants your heart. Your heart. And anytime Klal Yisrael has ever screwed up in the past was only when our heart wasn't in there. We brought karbanos, but we weren't there. We were going back home to do avodah zarah behind closed doors. We were bringing outside to the world. We looked like we were the greatest tzaddikim. We know this. I don't have to repeat this. This is like a Tisha B'Av class, what I'm about to say. But I'm going to just say it in short anyways. First Beis HaMikdash, second Beis HaMikdash. What's the difference? First Beis HaMikdash, they were doing 3 cardinal sins. Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arah, Shfichas Damim. They were doing the worst things ever. They were murdering. They were cheating on their spouses. They were worshiping idols. And they were sent into Galus, and 70 years later they come back. They come back 70 years later. Second Beis HaMikdash, they were tzaddikim. You would see them walking down the street, you would stand up for them. Long beards to the floor, big hats to the ceiling, women that were totally covered. Everything was totally glatt and completely frum as it comes. Million synagogues, million minyanim, everyone was doing all the right things, the best everything, the best hidur mitzvah of every kind. But what was their deal? Their deal was that the fact that they had sinas chinam. They hated each other in their hearts. They had a lot of beef with each other. Lots. And that was what sent us into this long and bitter exile of pogroms and inquisitions and Kristallnachts and Holocausts, and now with the Arabs and everything that we're going through. And forget about the actual physical destruction of the Jewish people, the spiritual destruction of the Jewish people. I'm reading a book right now, and it's saying how if we wouldn't have gone through all the destruction that we've gone through throughout our history, since we've been in this exile, the past 2,000 years, of just crusades and everything that we've gone through as a people, we would be up to 200 million Jews in the world today. But do you know how many Jews are in the world today? 13 million Jews. 13 million Jews. So let's contribute, let's say, 3/4 of that to the wars and to being just killed out. But there's a quarter left, and that quarter was the people that are assimilating 24/7 around us all over the world. Assimilating out of Judaism. Their kids are no longer Jewish. Mesorah of 3,300 years from father to son, and it gets to 2017 and he's marrying a shiksa, and now their kids are no longer Jewish. That is the destruction of a people, of a nation. So if it's not us that's keeping it alive in the flame, if we're not going to be the ones that are doing this to the fire called Torah, to the fire called mitzvahs, to the fire called avoda, to the fire called pnimius, the internalness of what we are and our mitzvahs and our connection to God, then it's just a matter of time before we're gone. Because why would our kids care? If the mom is covering her hair, but she cares more about, her TV shows and her manicure and whatever than she does about lighting candles on time or about being shomer pia, or if she cares, then what makes her think that her kid's gonna even have a saga in what it means to be connected to kedusha, right? In my opinion, Bali Tshuva are just are saving everyone's behinds. That's in my opinion. The Bali Tshuva movement is saving everyone's behind. Otherwise, because the FFB world is sadly, majority of it is falling apart. It's falling apart. So Baruch Hashem, we have all the speakers of today. Most of them are, and the teachers, most of them, Baruch Hashem, are the Bali Tshuva, that Isha Torah made, and that Neve made, and all these people that were saved, thank God. Because they're the ones that are coming back and inspiring us to live our life with Kedusha. So, Chodesh Nisan. Chodesh is his chachos. There's a newness, okay? So, anything that you kind of feel like you can't do, and you kind of don't have what it takes, a diet, okay, working on your whatever, okay, whatever it may be, and your parenting skills, and your gossiping, and your being angry at your husband, and your kids, at your mom, and whomever it may be, right, or whatever it may be. This is the month. This is the chodesh. Just chodesh. We didn't even get into the Nisan part. Just chodesh is going to be able to spring you forth, okay. Just take you to the next level. So what do you do in this time? So how do you align yourself with the energy? Like I said in the beginning, align yourself with the energies, because if you do, you're going to have a lot more success. A lot more success. Right? I had a lot of freaky things happen to me when I was in Poland. Okay, I don't want to get into it because it was just too airy and too freaky. Especially being on Facebook, I'm not going to get into it, but because people are going to be like, okay, she's weird, but I'm not weird. It's just things are really weird. Things happened, and I realized how we think, this is so real. This is so real. The things that we can feel and touch and grasp, and they're so real. And the other worlds and things of the spiritual nature are just, it's nice. I'm sure it like warms my heart when I light candles Friday night, and I'm sure it's like very, it does something somewhere to my soul, like when I, eat a Yontif meal, or when I'm cleaning my house for Pesach or whatever it may be. Like, I don't see it. Whatever. It's not so, we don't feel so connected to it because it's not, we're very physical beings. We're very, very physical beings living in a very, very, very base physical world, right? So it's harder for us. But once you come in contact with how real spirituality is, right? And once you feel like really making the shifts in your life, it's kind of amazing. I give this like a Muna class and Muna series it's called Breakthrough, and basically it teaches us how to align our minds. And this is what saved my life. Like I told you this in the beginning when we started our classes, that after I got divorced, it was just like, all right, now what? Now I'm here, I'm broke, I have 2 kids, I don't have a husband. Like, now what? Like, what do I do now? Either I take up a good hobby of like, drinking a lot of alcohol and escaping, or I figure this out. I take this and make this turn this into like, what's gonna propel me forward, and only with Hashem's help. Right, I was able to stumble upon this information and these classes, and basically the bottom line is, what is Emunah? What is Emunah? And this is what saved my life in a nutshell. Okay, it really saved my life. A year and 8 months ago when I got divorced, I was a different human than I am now, because I took these spiritual concepts and I applied them, and I made myself crazy, and I applied them and I didn't see them working, and I didn't know what to do, and I was breaking my head, and I was teaching it to other people, and other people had questions, and I was trying to figure it out with them, and it was like I'm not letting up because I believe in this process. Right? And if you believe in a process for long enough, right, and you believe in it, but Mesiras Nefesh, you believe in it, and you believe in God, but Mesiras Nefesh. And there's no like, Hashem, I've been doing this religious thing for a while now, and I don't see no like results, so you know what? Like, I don't know about davening, and I don't know about tznius so much, and I don't know. It's like it's not giving back, it's not paying back. I'm putting in so much and I'm not getting any payback, right? So the principle is like this. The more plugged into spirituality that you are, meaning that you know why you're doing things, and that you're connected to it. Not just connected. How do you become connected to it? You talk to Hashem throughout the whole thing. Hashem, I'm putting on a skirt now. Why? Because you commanded me to, and I believe in you, and I believe that Torah is Emes. You bring it to life in your life, in your day-to-day life. What happens to you down the road, not so long, is that all of a sudden you see the Yad Hashem in your life in a very, very, very real way. In a very, very real way. So, Nisan. Let's get into Nisan for a second. So we said a lot till right now. And I wanted to give you all of that for a second, just to be able to put us into some kind of like an organized mind, to know where all this fits in. It's not just like another nice class about something that's happening, and Pesach is upon us, and the chametz, and the anava, and the gaiva, we all know that. Okay? It's, bless you, it's be'emes, right? Mashiach, like Rav Chaim Kanievsky said, Mashiach bepetach, Mashiach he's at the door, right? When I was in Poland, I was thinking to myself, I cannot believe that it was 72 years ago where they had nowhere to run. It was like either Poland or Russia or England or America, or there was no like, hello, Alal, hey, what's up, Israel now. They didn't have a land. They didn't have a land to go to, a Jewish land to go to. We were always, right? We were always gay, and we were always like Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu. Hashem said to Avram Avinu in Bris Bein HaMibsarim, right? V'ger yezarecha. We were just like scattered amongst the nations for so many thousands of years, right? The Jews have history in Poland back 1,000 years in Poland. Goodness, gosh, we've been in exile for so long. It's crazy. And now you go to Poland and there's no one there. It's like a ghost land. It's like empty, no Jews. Like maybe there's a minyan in the Ramashu, maybe, It's crazy. If it weren't for the groups, there's just no one. And like back 80 years ago, there was like thriving gedolim, yeshiva. It was like crazy, right? And today it's like you have a land, we have a country, we have Mashiach is not here yet, but we were given the keys. Yeah, we're fighting over it with our cousins, with Ishmaelim, but that's like part of the Nevuos. But like we were given the keys to our land after 2,000 years in exile, of not being able, of people just like dying to get to Jerusalem, dying on the way to Jerusalem. Not being able to find these people that were on their way to Jerusalem. They died along the way. They were attacked by Arabs. They were killed. People were constantly yearning for Yerushalayim, yearning for the Beis HaMikdash for generations. Only over the last 69 years, 69. How many years do we have Israel for? 68, right? Are we able to actually make that dream a reality? And that's part of Geula. V'shavu vanim l'gvulam. And Rav Chaim said, Mashiach b'petach. Mashiach's here at the doorway. He's at the doorway. He's right here. And who's going to survive through Tkufas Mashiach? So Tkufas Mashiach, Chevli Mashiach is like this. And the reason that we're learning it right now by Nisan is because Nisan is the Rosh Hashanah of Emunah. It is the Rosh Hashanah of Emunah and is the time of Geula. What is Geula? Geula is any kind of spiritual redemption that you want to have in your life. How were they able to come out of Egypt after 210 years? They were able to come out of Egypt after 210 years because they were done. They were so done that they just started moaning and groaning. They couldn't even talk. They couldn't even pray. V'ta'al sha'avatam, and their moans and groans went up to Shemaim. There was no words. They had no words. They were in so much pain and agony. Right? The men used to sleep in the fields. The men used to sleep in the fields because they had so much. They had such a quota to fill of building these levanim, building these pieces of stone, right, to create the pyramids and to build everything up. They were not allowed. They couldn't go back to their homes at night because if they didn't create enough, right, then their babies would be taken and put into the stones, into the walls. Their babies. The pain that they went through. It says that the Holocaust, the Mitzrayim, Shibud Mitzrayim was like, the Holocaust was children's play compared to that. And when you see what the Holocaust was, when you hear the stories, when you're there, there's nothing, you can't imagine one night in such a place, let alone 60 years and surviving it. You can't imagine yourself being there for a night, for a day, for an hour. The cold, the pain, the nothingness, the hunger, the mind games that they used to play with them, the torture. And Mitzrayim was 210 years of that. Right? And so a lot of questions could arise from that, but that's not for now. That's for our Poland trip. Come on my next Poland trip, whenever that's going to be. Right? We're going to answer all these questions, a lot of answers to these questions, and it's important that we know the answers to these questions. Not like don't ask, No, it's important that we ask, and it's important. The Torah is not afraid of our questions. Torah is not afraid of our questions. Ask away, right? But the thing is that 210 years of Shibud, and what got them out? What got them out? What got them out was the fact that they were not poo-pooing everything anymore. No, it's okay, we'll get through this, it's okay, we'll get through this. You know where they were? They were down on their knees, and they were screaming to the heavens. From their gut. There was no more words, there was no more cheshbonos, there was no more, like, the way we daven, like, okay, Hashem, please give me this and this and this, thank you so much, Hashem. There was no more of that. There was no more dibor. It was just from the depths of their souls, we are in so much pain, redeem us. Why did it take them so long? I don't have the answer to that. But my humble answer to that, it took them so long because they kept on trying to get out of it in some kind of a mental capacity of this happens because of that, and that happens because of this. Okay, so if I do this, then I'll get that, and if I do this, then I'll get that. And that's not our relationship with Hashem. Our relationship with Hashem cannot be cheshbonos. Oh, Hashem is doing this to me in my life right now. He's not giving me kids right now in my life because I did this and this and this. Or if I do this and this and this, then I'm going to get this and this and this. That's not our relationship with Hashem. That's not Judaism. It's not Yiddishkeit. And that's why we're not allowed to go to psychics and palm readers and seances. And we're not supposed to know the future. And we're not supposed to delve into the future. And that's not where we're osik in. What we're osik in is right now, our hearts. That's all they did. And at the end, when they realized that there was no more answers, there was no more answers. It was not like if I do this, and if I do that, and if I do this skula, and if I do that thing. It was just raw, unadulterated, I need you, God. We need you, God. And if we today would be in that state and realize what crazy insanity we are really in right now, and the Jewish people are in right now, if we would, because it's not knocking on our doors, that's why we're not aware. But we got to get smart. Because the Jews didn't run away from Poland and they didn't run away from all their cities, right? Because no one was knocking on their doors yet. And even though people were telling them, get out, it wasn't close to home. We're going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. It's going to be good. Don't worry. Hashem is with us. We're going to be fine. Because when does Hashem send the Nazis to our door? Hashem sends the Nazis to our door when we don't step up to the plate before it's too late. When does Hashem send anti-Semitism to the world to such a great extent, where we're scared of going to a synagogue, or we're scared of doing different things, or we're scared of looking Jewish in Europe? They said to me, I had to stop over in London, and then I had to stop over in Turkey, and I had to stop over all over the place, right? And they were like telling me, like, okay, make sure no one realizes that you're Jewish so much, because we are a target. Wherever we go, we are a target. So why is it that way? Why is it that way? It's that way because Hashem wants us to be alive in Achdus. In Achdus. Because bottom line, that's Hashem's love language. That is the reason why we are in exile. That is the reason why after the first Beis HaMikdash they went back so quickly. Because they did the 3 cardinal sins, and Hashem's like, okay, whatever. All right, you murdered. Okay, you did adultery. Okay, Giloi Arayos. But bottom line, there was no Lashon Hara between them. And bottom line, there was no she said, he said. And there was no looking over my shoulder. And there was no trust issues. And everyone was united. And that is our global, national tafkid. To care so much about each other. That's it. That is why we are still in this exile, and that's why we're still reeling in all this pain, and that is why the Holocaust was over 72 years ago, but we're facing another form of Hitler right now, right? And that's why it's going to be b'chol dor v'dor, because we're not getting the message. And the message has to be clear, and we have to give it to our kids, and we have to give it to ourselves, and we have to constantly drill into our neshamos. The only thing that's going to save the Jewish people, and the only thing that's going to save the world, is me loving my neighbor. Is me loving my neighbor, my friend, and putting my ego away. Putting my ego away. And you could be right. You know how they always say, like, in a marriage. Either you want to be right, or you want to be happy. You are so right in everything that you're saying. He is such a creep. He did not take out the garbage. He did not ask you how you are. He did not help you a bit. He did not do whatever it is. Right? Do you want to harp on it and make it into the world's greatest problem? Do you want to take this to Beis Din? Because you are right. The point is to be smart. The point is to be happy. The point is to use our Jewish female wisdom to be able to work it in a different way. You could be right. They didn't invite you to the wedding. You invited them. They got front row seats. Okay? You could be right, they hurt you. You could be right, your kid is just such an obnoxious thing, like how could they be so ungrateful? You can be right, but the point is to be at peace, and the point is to be in love with each other. She didn't make you a meal after you had a baby. Who cares? Be the bigger man. Who cares? Because we are snowballing for a very, very scary time now. And if we don't put the brakes on this snowball, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And we are the only ones that Hashem is talking to, because who else is Hashem talking to? The thousands of Jews that are out clubbing right now, that don't know it's Rosh Chodesh Nisan, that have not said Tfilas Hashla? Who is Hashem talking to? The deaf? They don't have ears to hear. They don't have ears to hear. They don't know to hear. So the 13 million Jews that are walking the planet right now, how many of them have the ears to hear and that care and that want? It's basically you. And a few other like you, like us. The ones that come out at night to a class to hear some Torah, and you friends on Facebook that are actually watching this. The 24 of you. That's it. It's just a small bit of people that actually care and actually bleed for Hashem and bleed for the Beis HaMikdash and bleed for Yerushalayim and bleed for the Jewish people and want more and want Kedusha and want Shechina and want Tahara. It's just them. Because everyone else has fallen off. And so if that's the situation, that means that we are powerhouses. And that means that we are capable of doing so much more than we even give ourselves credit for. So what do we do? How do I change my life practically? Don't speak to me in like esoteric terms and it's all very beautiful, but bottom line, how do I do this? You want me to stop the snowball? How do I stop the snowball? So if every single one of us, so the few, let's say the million or 2 million, I'm not talking about the Orthodox, I'm talking about the Orthodox that care. I'm talking about the ones that are locked into Torah mitzvahs, that are locked into the truth, that are bending their Yetzer Hara 24/7 to do the right thing. They're the ones that are trying, even the ones that are falling and getting up, the ones that are doing tshuva, the ones that are trying, right? Those, the ones that are bringing in Shabbos, even though it's hard, last whatever it may be, right? The ones that care, right? So let's say it's the ones that care are, let's say I would say like 1.5 million to 2 million Jews. The ones that are in here, the ones that care in here. So that means that if we can bring Mashiach B'Chishana, which means if Hashem tells us you could bring Mashiach, Mashiach can come 2 ways, one of 2 ways. And Rav Chaim Kanievsky, who's basically the only real living Mekubal today, tells us that Mashiach is Bepetach. So there's one of 2 ways of bringing Mashiach, because we already are in Eretz Yisrael, and V'shavu banim l'gvulam is a nevuah that's already happened, and all the nevuahs of Golos have basically are all finished, are all done. And the Gedolim are telling us that Mashiach is here. And every speech that I hear from any Gadol in Eretz Yisrael says Mashiach is here. And this is Tkufas Mashiach, and this is Chavadei Mashiach. And if that's the reality, and Mashiach can come one of 2 ways, either Be'ito or B'Chishana, either we're all sleeping, and then we get a slap of a wake-up call, and we're like, oh my gosh, like we did before the Holocaust. Or B'Chishana, we bring him. If we were given the option, if we were given the choice, you know what that means? That means that we have us 1.5 million Jews. Each and one of us has the power to change the entire way of the world. No. I don't know if you're grasping this concept. It's a crazy concept. My existence here, my 70, 80 years here right now, is so monumental, it's so impactful, it's so great. I cannot lose a minute. And it's not supposed to put us in like some frenzy and crazy OCD kind of mode. It's supposed to put us in a mode of like, wow, I am the cream of the crop of the cream of the crop and the cream of the crop of the world. And I am leading this ship. And this snowball is snowballing out of control right now with all the anti-Semitism and all the assimilation and everything that's going on in the world. And I have a way to turn this around. I could turn this around. I could turn this to a Chishana situation where Hashem just brings Mashiach, and it's big Ula, and it's big Giloi, and it's a revealed goodness. Wow. So how do I turn it around? Here we go. Nisan. Nisan is Zman Geula, it's Zman redemption. It could be a national redemption. Mashiach can come this month, the Es Shem. But the energy of the month is redemption. The energy of the month is Geula. So on a personal level, whatever you want to be redeemed from, even if it seems like larger than life to you, larger than life. God forbid you are sick. God forbid you have like a terminal illness. God forbid you are in the most loveless marriage in the world. God forbid you have a condition, you have a mental condition, you have a friend, a husband, or someone, a child. The energy of this month is all about redemption, where you don't see it happening and all of a sudden you're redeemed. Meaning you take your brain and you say, bye-bye brain. I'm not coming to this month with brain. I'm not coming to this time with cheshbonos. I'm coming to this time only with throwing it on Hashem. With v'ta'al sha'avatam, like they said. They just moaned and groaned. It came from their hearts, and that's where the Geula came from. That's where salvation comes from. That's where revelation comes from. That's where redemption comes from. You want to be redeemed in your life, you got to believe that you can be redeemed. That's number one. You got to believe that the worst problem that you have is totally fixable. Completely fixable. The fact that you don't know how to fix it, okay. You're just one person. There's one person with one mind, and all you can work with is what you have in here. That's it. But there's so much that's not in here also. There's so many possibilities. Believe in it. Believe that redemption is on its way to you. And envision your redemption. Envision what it looks like. Envision what it feels like. In whatever situation that you're in your life that you need to be redeemed from. Because that's number one. And it's not a mind game. It's real. Where you put your mind, where your focus goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, energy flows. The energy of the momentum of what you're going to see happen in your life, of what you're attracting, of what you're going to create, happens from the focus that you have in your mind, what you're thinking about, what you're obsessing about. Obsess about your redemption. Obsess about the redemption of the Jewish people. Obsess about the redemption of people's souls. Obsess over the redemption of people, Jews and Beis Yaakov girls and yeshiva boys that are so broken and so far away from who they are and what they can be. Obsess over their redemption. Take the energy of the time that we're in right now and obsess over redemption. See Mashiach coming. See him riding on that chamor. How do you say chamor in English? A donkey. See him blowing the shofar. See V'kabetz nidachenu ma'arba kanfus haaretz. See Mashiach. See the Beis HaMikdash. See the Shechina. See the Kanfei Nesharim. See it. Because if you don't see it, who's going to see it? And if we don't see it, how is this whole thing going to turn around? We got to come out of the matrix. We got to stop living in this tiny little hole called the matrix. That is just one day after the next, 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 and that's how we live our life. And this kind of like this bubble, right, of being realistic and being down to earth and having your feet on the ground. Because all of those terms really apply to all the things that we're talking about right now. Having your feet on the ground, being realistic, is being a Jew on fire. And if you're anything short of that, you're living in La La Land. Because everything else is just a facade. Be in a mode of redemption. You can bring Mashiach. You can bring Mashiach. It's expected of me to bring Mashiach. With my decision to yes daven shachris, with my decision to yes make a bracha and remember to make a bracha charona, with my decision to be devoted to God in my day to day and how in talking to Him and opening my mouth and talking to Him, and then when I can't talk to Him and say Hashem, I want to talk to you, but nothing comes out, and I can't talk to you, making it real, making your avoda real with a pulse, so real. The shaitel that you're wearing in your head, make it real, make it alive. I'm doing it for you. Say it. Everything I do for you. I want to do for you. I want my heart to be in the right place. I want to be a lover of mankind and humanity and the Jewish people. Because I know that that's your love language, and I know that's what gives you nachas ruach, and I know that that's all that's real, and I know that that's all that matters. And I just want to end off here, and I want to say, I didn't teach anything I prepared today. I happen to have prepared for like 3.5 hours for another day. We have this lovely man here. Isn't he scary? Like, every time I read him, my kids are like, don't look, I feel like he's not a good person. The Giving Tree. So, I won't show you what the inside looks like. I will not show you what the inside looks like, because my children got to it. This is just the front cover, okay? You can imagine what the rest of it looks like. It looks like a coloring book, because it's black and white. Like, it's like, coloring book with a hardcover. But I could still make out the words. I've also read it like so many times. Bottom line, I want to give you something to walk away with. Okay? We said a lot here today. I hope something resonated somewhere. Okay, something lit that fire a little bit, because you're all, you know that you're all little torches. Just like life puts out our fire. Okay? Some people are put out a lot more than other people, but we all need to have the casing, the klipos, the covering removed a little bit, because we're all torches. And we gotta ignite that fire. That's it. Gotta ignite the fire. That's it. Okay? And literally, you will fall and get up and fall and get up and keep falling and keep getting up, because that means that you have a pulse. Okay? And that's how it looks when you have a pulse. Okay? That means you're alive. And that's all good. So the next time you fall and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just left her class and I can't. It's okay. You just have to, the Yetzer Hara is going to get you at, I just fell, I'm such a loser, whatever, I can't change, everyone else can. All that geula stuff, that's nice for everyone else, but I have the life that I have and my responsibilities and making dinner and breakfast and taking care of my errands, and I can't be in another mode. That is straight up Sitra Achra. It's straight up the dark side. Don't lend them a hand. Because you can soar, my friend. You can soar. Soaring happens when you're devoted and committed to the process. And the process is up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Sometimes I'm having like a crazy high and I feel like so alive and so on fire and so inspired and so like, I want to stay here forever. And I envision myself staying there forever. And and like the week after I'm feeling nothing. I am numb and all I want to do is watch a TV show. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? 1-800-THERAPIST. Hi. Yeah. Seriously. Right? But in my downs, I'm like, Hashem, I know you're doing this to me, and I know that this is you, and I know that this is Hester Panim, but I'm still here. I'm going to be that annoying little child that's not going to be like, excuse me, Hashem, I want to feel like it again. I want to feel it again. I want to feel it again. I want to be connected to you again. I want to be, and I do. And I annoy the living daylights out of him, and then it happens again. And that's life. And that's life. And when I'm down, I've stopped allowing myself to let go. To just be like, okay, whatever. Just gonna whatever. I'm bad anyway. I stopped allowing that, because that's like you feel like you all of a sudden like, I'm feeling down. This happened to me. That happened to me. Now it's an excuse to get depressed. Now it's an excuse to overeat. Now it's an excuse to not keep myself on my game. That happened to me. He said that to me. She did that to me. I got into a car accident. God forbid. It's an excuse. Now I'm off my game. No, you gotta keep on your game on some level, in some form. Maybe a little bit, loosen it up a little bit because you need to breathe or something, or because you're feeling too overwhelmed. But keep on your game. And the best way to keep on your game is to continuously say to Hashem, Hashem, I want to be in this game. I want to be in this with you. I love you too much to let go of this. I want to feel alive. I want to feel passion. I want to be on fire in my avodas Hashem, in my life, in my day to day, because I don't know how long I have in this world. I don't know. So, about this book. The thing is that I want to say is that I'm coming to a very keen understanding that there is no God without Jews. Which means there is no Kedusha, and there is no Avoda, and there is no Tefillah if with my friends and with people that I know or people that I don't know, I don't constantly try to put myself in their shoes and try to make their lives a better place to live. There is no spirituality. There's no anything if it's not connected. It's Torah v'chesed, Torah v'chesed, Torah v'chesed. It's one unit. I can't have Torah if I don't have chesed. I can't. And chesed means I am into the person that I'm with. I care about the person. If it's a stranger, whatever comes my way. Like the halachos of Shabbos Aveda. The Shabbos Aveda, the halachos are, you can't turn your eye. You can't turn a blind eye to it. Right? You saw something on the street, you can't be like, oh, I didn't see it, because now it's on your hands. You have to return. You have to put up signs. You have to get it back to the person, to the owner, and it's like a whole thing. It's your responsibility. It's in your lap, right? Same thing with Jews. You can't be like, oh, preparing a little bit today, and a young couple from Hollywood, last night or 2 nights ago, they went out. They have an 8-year-old girl. An irreligious couple, Israeli, and they were driven back home, and the lady that drove them back home, the driver was drunk, and they were both killed in a car accident. And now their 6-year-old girl, their only child, is alone. And I heard the story in the morning, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I continued with my day, and then when I started preparing a little bit, I started realizing, like, stop. Take a minute. She's 6. You have a 6-year-old, Avdel. Yeah, she's 6. She has no one. Parents are gone. And I let it hurt me. I let myself feel for her. I let it hurt me. And it's important, that feeling of not just being like, oh, I nebach, but to stop and to let things in, to let another person's pain in. That's how we get out of Galus. That's how we spark Geula. That's how we spark redemption. That's how we bring Mashiach. That's how we schlep him here. That's it. That's the bottom line. And I want to just say that no deed goes unrepaid. Nothing that you will ever put out, even though that you look like you're doing a chesed shel emes, and there's no way for anyone to repay you, you will always get paid back. Either you or your kids or your grandchildren or someone. Always. I always think that, I always think, like, I don't know who my ancestors are. Because everyone I know is not religious, and no one ever took any interest in knowing who their ancestors were. But I bet you there was somebody that did something somewhere along the line, okay, that they were zocha to have me and my 3 sisters, who are all Shomer Shabbos on different levels, but are all Shomer Shabbos, coming from a completely secular background, completely secular parents that knew nothing from nowhere, nothing, secular comes. All 4 of us are Shomer Shabbos, their husbands go to shul, there's Shabbos in the house, there's Yom Tov in the house, our family WhatsApp is constantly, there's constantly chizuk, there's constantly conversation, right, about someone did something right somewhere along the line. Because the rest of our families, on both my mother's side and my father's side, everyone either married to Goyim, there's no other Shomer Shabbos anywhere along the lines, not even close. Someone did something that their deeds have been repaid. Mm-hmm. Nothing that you will ever do for anyone else doesn't go unpaid for, unrepaid. The famous story of what's his name? Yosela, the holy miser. Heard of Yosela the Holy Miser? I'm sure you've heard of it. If you haven't, go into your cars after this class immediately. Yosela the Holy Miser, YouTube, do it. Kalbach says an amazing story about it. Basically, I'll tell you what happened because I was at his kever in Krakow a week ago, and Yosela the Holy Miser was in Krakow. There was a big area of Jews, tons of Jews that were living there, and everyone was poverty stricken, and Yosela had a lot of money. And people would knock on his door, and he would bring them in, and he would give them, he would give them food, and he would tell them what do you need, and every person that would walk in, they would say, I need this and I need that, and I have kids. How many kids do you have? How much? What's your expenses? And then he would flip on them, and he would like throw them out of the house, right? And he would be like, get out of here, get out of here, I don't want to see your face ever again. And they would be like, what is wrong with this person? And he did it to everyone. And everyone, no one spoke to each other about them not having money because it was like a busha, right? And everyone, every Thursday night, everyone that ever had gone to him, right? Just, never received anything from him. No one received, and they never gave him an aliyah. No one ever spoke to him. They put him in chayrim. No one ever Yasala, the holy miser. He was such a miser. And then he died. And when he died, no one wanted to bury him. No one wanted to bury him. Do you have maybe a charger for this that we can plug in for any battery stuff? No. Yeah. Thank you so much. And no one wanted to bury him. And there was this one yid that felt bad. This guy is lying here. He's dead for so long. No one's burying him. All right, I'll bury him. So he took him in the middle of the night and he buried him at the gate of the cemetery. Everyone is buried on this side of the cemetery, and he's buried all the way at the gate in the back, like by the garbage. All right, that's where he just stuck him in the ground there and he left. Basically, the Rav, the tzaddik at the time that lived in Krakow at the time was the Tosfos Yom Tov. And the Tosfos Yom Tov was a big tzaddik, and he started getting knocks on his door. And the knocks were coming in all the time. They were constantly coming in, like a few days after Yasala died. And he would ask him, Rabbi, if you have anything, do you have any money for us, anything? And one after the next. And he was like, where have you guys been all this time? How are you surviving till now? And they said, we don't know. We used to get an envelope under our door every single Thursday night with money, and everyone would get a different amount of money, and that's how we would survive, from this. But the envelope stopped coming. And all of a sudden the Tosfos Yom Tov understood that it was Yasala the whole time that was doing a chesed shel emes by these people without telling them that it's coming from him, right? Giving them the money. And the Tosfos Yom Tov asked that when he passes away, when he dies, that he's going to be buried by Yasala, the holy miser. I have pictures of both of them buried, one by the side of the other. And the Tosfos Yom Tov, who was a big tzaddik, was buried by the end of the cemetery, by the gate. After all the tzaddikim are buried here, the Ramah, and all the tzaddikim are buried here, the Megala and Mukos, and all of them are buried here. They're buried all the way at the corner of the side, right? And what happens after the story, hundreds of years after the story happens, not even someone, I think it was 200 years after the story happened, Shlomo Carlebach says this story that he was in a hotel and he was seeing the story, and there were priests there, and he was a rabbi that was invited, and basically one of the priests gets up after he says the story. The priest gets up and he comes up to him and he says, please say the story over again. And he says the story over again. He says, please say the story over again. He says it over again. Please say it over again. He says it over again. He says it over again. And he's like, why am I saying it so many times? And the priest breaks down, and the priest tells him, I have to tell you something. And he says, what is it? And he says to him, before my mother just died a month ago, and before she died, she told me, don't forget who you are. I've never told you, but you are a Jew. And you're not just a Jew, but you come from a very great man, and he was Yasala of Krakow. And that was the story that you're saying right now is of my grandfather, my great-grandfather, Yasala, the holy miser from Krakow. And this man left Christianity and became connected to Judaism and went to Eretz Yisrael, and he's living in Yerushalayim today, and he's raising a from family today. So we never know how far our deeds are gonna go. Is there any way to plug this in? Do you have a battery pack, maybe?
I'm not sure where it is.
Okay. So I'm sorry, everyone on Facebook, but this is gonna hang up in a second. Maybe I'll put them here. 1 second. Here, we'll do this. I'm sorry, I'm upside down. Almost done. Okay, good. Okay, see? Good. So, I just want to read this story, okay, quickly, and with this we're going to go. The Giving Tree. Once there was a tree, and she loved the little boy. And every day the boy would come, and he would gather her leaves, and make them into crowns and play king of the forest. He would climb up her trunk and swing from her branches and eat apples, and they would play hide and go seek. And when he was tired, he would sleep in her shade. And the boy loved the tree very much, and the tree was happy. But time went by, and the boy grew older, and the tree was often alone. Then one day the boy came to the tree, and the tree said, "Come, boy, come and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and eat apples and play in my shade and be happy." "I am too big to climb and play," said the boy. "I want to buy things, and I want to have fun. I want some money. Can you give me some money?" "I'm sorry," said the tree, "but I have no money. I have only leaves and apples. Take my apples, boy, and sell them in the city. Then you will have money, and you will be happy." And so the boy climbed up the tree and gathered her apples and carried them away, and the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time, and the tree was sad. And then one day the boy came back, and the tree shook with joy, and she said, "Come, boy, climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and be happy." "I am too busy to climb trees," said the boy. "I want a house to keep me warm," he said. "I want a wife and I want children, and so I need a house. Can you give me a house?" "I have no house," said the tree. "The forest is my house. But you can cut off my branches and build a house, and then you will be happy." And so the boy cut off her branches and carried them away to build his house. And the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time. And when he came back, the tree was so happy she could hardly speak. "Come, boy," she whispered. "Come and play." "I am too old and sad to play," said the boy. "I want a boat that will take me far, far away from here. Can you give me a boat?" "Cut down my trunk and make a boat," said the tree. "Then you can sail away and be happy." And so the boy cut her trunk and made a boat and sailed away. And the tree was happy, but not really. And after a long time, the boy came back again. "I am sorry, boy," said the tree, "but I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone. My teeth are too weak for apples," said the boy. "My branches are gone," said the tree. "You cannot swing on them." "I am too old to swing on branches," said the boy. "My trunk is gone," said the tree. "You cannot climb." "I am too tired to climb," said the boy. "I am sorry," sighed the tree. "I wish I can give you something, but I have nothing left. I am just an old stump. I am sorry." "I don't need very much now," said the boy. "Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I am very, very tired." "Well," said the tree, straightening herself up as much as she could. "Well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down and rest." And the boy did, and the tree was happy. The end. And what I want to take away from this story is that our entire life, we think that our happiness is going to come from the rat race that we've been hijacked and brainwashed to think it will come from. Your job, your money, your success, your titles, your prestige, where you are in the community. We're constantly chasing after the next thing. At first we're happy with climbing trees and eating apples, but then that's too simple. We think that now we need money and we need things and we need houses and we need stuff to make us happy, right? Until we get full circle and we realize we don't really need anything. We just need inner peace, and we just need to love ourselves. And that's really constantly to keep in mind, because the rat race will never end, right? It will never end. And the most important thing to keep in mind is that things and stuff, money and fun will never make you happy. The only way you will ever be happy is if you will be a giving tree. It is if you program yourself and your life to give and give more and give more. And not worry about you, and not worry about who's going to give me, and why don't people worry about me, and why don't people invite me, and what about me, and look at me, and I'm such a victim. Be in a space of giving, and don't worry about it. It will come back to you, it will boomerang 1,000,000 times over. So B'ez Hashem, I hope to see you all at the Beis HaMikdash that's coming this month. I'm looking forward. Believe it. Believe in it. We have to believe in it. Otherwise, it's going to be too far from us. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.